Good morning and happy Easter, everyone. This is Swedish Jeff, and I just wanted to come on here and wish everyone a happy Easter weekend. And today's video is called the top 5 cards and dice baseball games, according to yours truly. Now, this is not a list of the greatest baseball games. This is my list here, so feel free to agree or disagree. And I have not played all of the games. I don't think anybody has really played all of the games, but I haven't played as many games as maybe other people have done. So this is my list, and I wanted to, in the tradition of high fidelity, condense it to 5, a top 5 list with a best of the rest, as Brian Kenny used to do on Who's Number One. Remember that show where Brian Kenny used to say, that was our top 5, and here's what we'd like to call the best of the rest. And he would have like a best of the rest list. So we're going to do that here today. I just thought it would be fun to do something a little different and to share my love of cards and dice baseball games over the years. And this is going back to my teens. So this is from then through the present day. And later this week, I'm going to do one for the top 5 computer/video games for baseball games of all time. And that ought to be an interesting list, as this one hopefully is as well. So let's start off with number 5, which is the Catico All-Star Baseball game. This is a game that had the spinner with the disc, the round disc, and for many people that grew up in the 60s, the 70s, and 80s, you are familiar with this game, I am sure. And this is a game that I played when I was a kid, about 10, 11, and it was fun. It was a fun game, but it wasn't a very realistic game. It wasn't really a stats-based game. It was fun. It was a good introductory game before you get to the Strat-O-Matics, the APBA baseballs, the replay games, etc. So in essence, this is kind of the gateway drug baseball game as far as cards and dice are. Well, it's not really cards and dice. What is it? It's a baseball game. So should it even be on the list? Maybe we should just take this off the list here. But it made it, nevertheless, it's on the list here. And I enjoyed it, and it was a fun game to play. So it made the top 5. And then we go to number 4. So number 4, and I will get back to the best of the rest here. So number 4 is Pursue the Pennant / Dynasty League Baseball. Now, Pursue the Pennant is a game back in the mid to late 80s that used to be advertised in all of those baseball magazines, Street and Smith's, Baseball Digest, Baseball America, all of those magazines. And it was very colorful. The advertisements were very colorful. I sent away for the brochures every year for about 5 years. And it was a beautiful color brochure, and it even smelled good with the ink. And for whatever reason, I never got the game back then. Probably because there was another game on this list, which is higher up, that I got for my birthday. But Pursue the Pennant was a game that I finally got many years later, and I got it off of eBay. And it's a fun game, and it certainly has a lot of detail. I love the look of Pursue the Pennant with the red, white, and blue cards, the lefty-righty splits, the weather. It's got a lot, the ballparks, and the original game had the 3D ballparks. And some people thought they looked cartoonish. I don't agree with that. I think that the ballpark looked fine in the game. And I thought that they added an extra texture to it. The only thing I didn't really like about Pursue the Pennant was it was a lot of charts looking back at charts and look at this chart to see this chart to see this chart. But minor quibble. It was a fun game. And many years later, Mike Zielinski, who created Pursue the Pennant, and Mike is a very passionate, dedicated baseball fan, and he created Dynasty League Baseball, which now is called Dynasty League powered by Pursue the Pennant, or Pursue the Pennant powered by Dynasty League Baseball. Sorry, folks. I would say I haven't had my coffee yet, but I don't drink coffee. So I'm a bit of an anomaly. So please bear with me this Sunday morning. So Dynasty League Baseball, they did a nice touch a couple of years ago where they brought back the baseball stadiums, and they brought back the ballparks. The one thing I would like to see Dynasty League, well, there's a couple things I would like them to do. Number one, I would love to see them bring back the red, white, and blue cards again. There was something about that I thought was very unique. They have the red, white, and blue dice, which is cool. But I think that it would be a nice touch to bring back, because I don't really like the cards as much. They're fine, but I just prefer the red, white, and blue that they used to have. Another drawback to Dynasty League Baseball for a lot of people, especially if you're on a budget, is the price. It can get a bit pricey. It's not the only game out there that does this, I will grant you. However, it is a bit pricey, especially in these times now, where people are really trying to scrimp and save. But if you can afford it, I would recommend getting it. It's a great game. It's not the best, in my opinion, but it is on my top 5. So I would say yes. Dynasty League Baseball, Pursue the Pennant, which the original game you can find on eBay. That's where I got it. So that's the number 4 game. Like I said, Mike Zielinski puts a lot of detail. I think that he puts more details, I should say, in his games than I think any other developer as far as cards and dice goes. Now, that's just my opinion. Feel free to comment. You might say, I disagree. So-and-so does even more detail. Number 3 is Status Pro Baseball. So this is another one. Does this really belong on the list? It's a cards game, but it's not a dice game. So does that make it a C game? Or does that make it a C&C game? Status Pro Baseball, unlike Pursue the Pennant Dynasty League Baseball, Status Pro and Catico were also games that you could find in stores. And Status Pro is a game that I got for Christmas when I was 16. It was at Toys R Us. You could find it there. It was there. And I had seen it many years earlier when I was about 8 or 9, and we lived on the naval base, and there was this toy store called Toyland. Much to my disappointment, and maybe to yours, there were no babes in the Toyland. However, they did have a very nice selection of toys, and one of them was Status Pro Baseball. And as a kid, especially as a baseball fan, I go, oh, wow, they have a baseball game here, but I did not get it at that time. Many years later, I did in my teens, and I enjoyed playing it, and that was unique because it did not have dice. It was a cards game, fast action cards, which is pretty popular now and very common, but at that time, not very common, I don't think. And I enjoyed playing. I really enjoyed playing Status Pro Baseball, especially during my teen years. I probably played it more than I should have when I should have been doing my homework, let's just say. And I did not study as much in some courses and classes as I should have. And that's something that I regret. You know, not that I regret playing Status Pro, but maybe I should have taken my academic studies a little bit more seriously. But nevertheless, Status Pro Baseball, I did take seriously. And I would be like, I'm managing right now. I have a job to do. I'm managing the Chicago Cubs. Forget human physiology and endoplasmic reticulum, that sounds like something out of a Ghostbusters movie. When am I ever going to apply endoplasmic reticulum to my regular life, you know? But Status Pro Baseball made the list, and Avalon Hill, it was another one of those games that you would see in the baseball magazines. And Avalon Hill was a very popular, successful company. They also made war games too, a lot of military strategy games. And they did another game called Pennant Race, which I did not get. They did Status Pro Football. They did a game called Pay Dirt. They did a lot of games. So this was a successful company. And Status Pro was a lot of fun. So it made the list, and it's number 3, not bad. Number 2 is most certainly not number 2. It is Strat-O-Matic. And this is one of those classic baseball games. And it's a game that many people are still playing today. And Hal Richmond, God bless him, he created the game. He's still alive. I hope that Hal lives to be over 100 years old. And Hal is seems like a very sincere, dedicated baseball fan as well. And I haven't played Strat-O-Matic since the late 2000s, although I have heard some criticisms over the years on the cards and dice and the computer game. I will get to the computer game in a future video. But as far as Strat-O-Matic, I loved playing that game. I love the fact that you get 3 games in one. You get the basic, you get the advanced, and you get the super advanced. And like Pursue the Pennant, you have ballpark effects, and you have the lefty-righty splits. I have heard some criticism about the red, white, and blue cards, that some people prefer the old blue and white or black and white cards. I haven't played it in a while. I think they did have the red, white, and blue when I played it in 2009, 2008, 2009. It didn't bother me. That did not bother me. I think that one of the main selling points of these games, not Catico, but Pursue the Pennant, Dynasty League, Status Pro, and Strat-O-Matic, is that they do produce very accurate results for the most part. Is it going to be exactly 100%? No. But it comes pretty darn close. And Strat-O-Matic is a game that I loved playing as a teenager. I had the football game as well. And I think that it's a great game, especially for kids. If you have young kids, the basic game is something that if you're 8, whether you're 8 or 88, you can play Strat-O-Matic. And I think that a lot of kids that love baseball, I don't agree with a lot of people that say, oh, kids are not going to be interested in that. Oh, they just want to play with their phones and they want to play with the machines and all this stuff. That may be true for a lot of people, that obviously if you have a technical gadget, an electronic gadget. I mean, we had handheld games back in the day. We had the Mattel electronic ones. So it wasn't like that we were only playing cards and dice games back in the day, but we had a good balance. I think that's one thing that kids need, is a good balance. They need a good balance of food in their diet. They need a good balance of love and attention. I mean, they should get that unconditionally, you know. Here I am waxing philosophically now. But on a lighter note, I think that kids, one thing that I really hope that kids can find is innocence. That's something that we had in our generation, the Generation Xers, as I am one, is why do people love the 80s so much? Is because it was the last decade of innocence. It was before cell phones, before social media. It was before the internet. It was before a lot of technological changes. And yet we still had video games. We still had handheld games. And Strat-O-Matic is a game that we enjoyed, and I think that younger generations could still enjoy. At a young age, if you get them at a young age and they get interested, if they love baseball or they love football, hockey, basketball, I think they will love it. So Strat-O-Matic is number 2. Number 1, drum roll, please. I can't roll my R's. I'm so sorry. That's one trick I never learned. I can play piano by ear. I can remember useless trivia, and I can name obscure actors and actresses and songs and B-sides. Ask me, I can answer that question, but I cannot roll my R's. Number 1 is APBA. Big surprise, I know. APBA, you get the basic game, you get a master game. I love it. It's accurate. The football game, accurate. You get all the cards. I do love that with APBA, you get the envelopes with the players in alphabetical order, the teams in alphabetical order, and you don't have to tear them off the perforated sheets. That is one thing that it's not a big criticism, and I'm sure a lot of people consider it to be a labor of love with Strat-O-Matic, is they spend about an hour, maybe that's an exaggeration, but they spend a little bit more time you spend more time tearing the cards off the perforated sheets than you do playing your first game. With APBA, you get all the cards there, and you just put them in the envelopes, and I think that's a very nice touch. You get a basic game and the master game, as I mentioned. I would, if I was running APBA, okay, and that might be another video inspired by the Replay Gamer and Tebow, thank you. I would incorporate the basic and the master in one. I would not have you pay separate for a master game. I would probably charge an extra $10, maybe $10, $15 to the actual game, but put them all together instead of having to pay, $40, $30 for the master game. I think that's just a bit too much. Essentially, you're basically getting a book. It's not really a game. It's a book. It's a book that you're paying for. I don't think they should charge you that much for a book. So that is something that I would, like I said, it's not perfect, but you get all the cards. You get practically every season that's ever been produced, which cannot be said for Strat. And you get realistic results. That's the big selling point to me, is you get that. And if you want to do a replay and you're a person that is dedicated to Sims and you want to replay a season, then APBA, baseball, football. I haven't played the hockey game yet, so I'm not qualified to answer, but that's why I love playing it. I played it in the late 2000s, and it was just not the right time. I revisited it 3 years ago, and I've never looked back. And I'm so glad that I have done it, and it's what I'm playing now. I mean, not right now at this moment, but replaying the 1981 season, and I'm having a blast. It's been so much fun. So, as Brian Kenny would say, there's our top 5. And now we present to you what we like to call the best of the rest. Best of the rest, Shirko. Shirko Baseball. This probably should have replaced the Catico game. It was the first cards and dice game that I played as a 13-year-old. It's a good game, but it's a little bit complicated. It was complicated for me then. If I was older, if I was, say, 16, 17, I probably would have enjoyed it more. It was just a lot of work, and they have since what's the term I'm looking for? Not reinvented, but they have made changes to it where the booklet now is beautiful. The one that I had back in the 80s was like a newspaper format, and it was a lot of numbers and letters and symbols and things that I didn't really understand. And so Shirko would make the best of the rest list. The other game is one called Championship Baseball. This was produced by Milton Bradley, and it was basically like an all-star game where you had all-star players, And what's funny is, like, if you looked at their hats and helmets, the logos were obscured, probably because they did not have a license with Major League Baseball. And this was a game that I think it's funny looking back, because it came with 4 pitchers cards, 2 in the National League, 2 in the American League, and yet the pitcher cards did nothing. Everything was read off the hitters cards. And what's interesting about the hitters cards is, if you look at the dice rolls, it is exactly like APBA, 11 through 66. It's exactly the same way. I wonder where they got that idea. But, imitation is the most sincerest form of flattery. And it was, I think I got it when I was like 10 or 11. So maybe this would predate Shirko. So I'd have to make that. But to me, this one was okay. But after about maybe 5 or 6 times you played it, it was, well, that was fun. What's for dinner? That kind of thing. And it's more of, I would say, a younger child's game at that point. I'd say 8 to 12, maybe 8. 8 to 12 would be a good age. But I would, if Strat-O-Matic, if I had that game, I would have enjoyed that a lot more, because I was more of a passionate baseball fan than a casual fan. And like I said, championship baseball is fun. But if you're somebody like me who's a stats nerd who loves to replay seasons, then you want to play the APBAs and the Strat-O-Matics and the Dynasty Leagues and pursue the pennants and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, you get the picture. So those are my choices, people. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think, and have a great rest of your weekend.